All right, ready to dive in. Today we're tackling supermarket management, getting you ready for that big interview.
We've got some great resources to help us out here. RoleCatcher's Supermarket Manager Career Guide and their interview guide, too.
Perfect. Like having a cheat sheet. Right.
Yeah.
But before we get to the interview itself, let's paint a picture of what this job actually looks like.
Yeah, it's a lot more than just, keeping shelves stocked.
Right. More than just the day-to-day stuff.
You're really the captain of the ship. You're steering the business, making sure customers are happy, leading a whole team.
Definitely sounds like a fast-paced environment.
It is, for sure.
E-
Demanding, too. Can get a little chaotic sometimes, but honestly, super rewarding at the end of the day.
And RoleCatcher's Career Guide, they really highlight how technology is changing things up, right?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. Self-checkouts everywhere now. Online orders coming in like crazy, people paying with their phones.
Yeah. Can't escape technology these days.
Nope, not a chance. And as a supermarket manager, you got to be on top of all that. It's not just a bonus anymore.
Makes sense. Now, the career guide also goes into the pros and cons. So it's not all sunshine and roses, right?
Well, I mean, the potential for growth is huge. You could become a district manager, overseeing multiple stores,
Wow.
even a regional manager eventually, in charge of a whole network, and you really get to be a part of the community.
That's got to be a great feeling.
Definitely. But, of course, there are those long hours,
Yeah, I was going to say.
especially during the busy times,
Oh, yeah.
holidays, or if something unexpected pops up and you're
Right.
dealing with all sorts of situations. Got to keep the team motivated.
Right. Got to be on your toes. Okay, so we've got a good picture of the role, the good and the bad. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, those interview questions.
Yeah, time for the main event. And this is where RoleCatcher's interview guide is so helpful.
Like our secret weapon.
Exactly. They've got all these common questions, plus expert advice on how to handle them.
Awesome. So first up, and this is a classic, tell us about your experience managing a team. Sounds pretty straightforward, but what are they really looking for here?
This is your chance to show off your leadership skills. Think of it like, a highlight reel of your best moments as a leader.
Gotcha. So not just saying I'm a good leader.
No. You got to give concrete examples. Did you motivate your team to hit their targets? Did you handle a conflict between employees really well? Things like that.
Okay, so paint a picture with specific situations.
Yes. And be ready for follow-up questions, too. They might ask, how do you deal with someone who's not performing well? Or how do you delegate tasks effectively? That kind of thing.
So think about those real-life examples where your leadership really made a difference. Good advice. Okay, next question, and this one's pretty crucial for any supermarket manager. How do you make sure your store hits its sales and profit goals?
This one goes straight to the core of your business sense. They want to see that you understand what makes a supermarket profitable. Can you set realistic goals? Can you track how things are going and make adjustments? That sort of thing.
So what kind of examples would really impress them here?
Think about things you've done that directly impacted sales or profits. Maybe you came up with a promo campaign that brought in a ton of customers.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe you streamlined the inventory process and cut down on waste, that sort of thing.
Okay, so actions that have a real impact. What about follow-up questions? What if they dig a little deeper?
They might ask, what would you do to turn around a department that's not doing well? Or how do you balance keeping costs down while still giving customers a good experience? They want to see if you can think on your feet.
Okay, starting to feel the pressure. All right, next question is a visual one. How do you make sure your store is properly stocked and merchandised? I'm picturing like those perfect pyramids of food.
Yeah, the classic supermarket aesthetic. But it's more than just being neat and tidy. It's about inventory management, visual merchandising.
Okay, more strategic than I thought.
Right. Do you understand how important it is to have products in stock? To have eye-catching displays, to rotate stock efficiently, that sort of thing.
So they want to see that you've got the skills and experience to optimize those processes.
Yeah.
Not just that you like things to be organized.
Exactly. Maybe you implemented a new system for tracking inventory, or redesigned a display that boosted sales. Quantifiable results, that's what they love to see.
Numbers speak louder than words. Now, what about follow-up questions for this one?
They might ask, what would you do if there was a sudden rush on a particular product? Or how do you make sure your team is following the merchandising guidelines, especially when it's busy? Those real-world scenarios.
Okay, so be prepared for anything. All right,
Okay.
this next one's a bit of a dreaded one. Describe a time when you had to handle a difficult customer. I feel like everyone in retail has a story about this.
Oh, for sure. We've all been there. But this question is a chance to show them your conflict resolution skills,
Right.
your ability to empathize, and most importantly, how you stay calm and professional even when someone's really upset. It's not about proving the customer wrong, it's about finding a solution.
So what are the key things to focus on when answering this question?
Pick a situation that really tested your customer service skills. Briefly explain what happened, what the challenge was, then focus on what you did. How did you listen to the customer? What steps did you take to de-escalate the situation and find a solution? Did you go above and beyond?
So emphasize those actions. And what about follow-up questions? They might want to hear about a time you couldn't fully satisfy a customer.
Right, exactly. Or maybe they ask about a time you dealt with a customer who was being unreasonable. They want to know how you handle those tough situations.
Okay, makes sense. Let's move on to a question that really tests your decision-making skills. Tell us about a time you had to make a difficult decision as a manager. I imagine there are a lot of those in this role.
Oh, yeah, it comes with the territory. And this question is all about assessing your judgment, how you make those tough calls.
So they want to understand your process, right? How you arrive at a decision.
Exactly. Did you gather information? Did you look at all the options? Did you talk to your team? They want to hear about that.
So walk them through your decision-making process and be ready to explain why you made the choice you did and what the outcome was, or maybe what you learned from it.
Yeah, exactly. Show them that you can think things through and that you learn from your experiences.
And I bet they'll ask about a time when a decision didn't go as planned, right?
Probably. They want to know that you can own up to mistakes and learn from them. That's important for any leader.
All right, this next question caught my eye. How do you stay up to date on industry trends and changes? Do they expect you to, read every trade publication out there?
Not necessarily, but they definitely want someone who's proactive. Supermarkets are constantly changing new technologies, customer preferences shifting, all that.
So how do you show them that you're on top of things?
Talk about the resources you use. Do you subscribe to industry websites or magazines? Listen to podcasts like this one, of course.
Of course.
Maybe you go to conferences. Mention some specific trends you're following, like the rise of online grocery shopping or the growing demand for organic food.
Okay, so show them that you're engaged and informed. What about those follow-up questions? How do you show them that you actually apply this knowledge?
Well, they might ask how you've used industry trends to improve your work. Maybe you introduced a new technology based on your research, or changed your merchandising strategy to reflect customer preferences, things like that.
Awesome. Now let's talk about customer loyalty. Can you give an example of how you've successfully increased customer loyalty? This is like the holy grail for any supermarket, right?
Absolutely. Repeat customers are gold. And this question is your chance to show that you understand how to build those relationships.
So what kind of examples would really stand out here?
Think about initiatives you've led to improve the customer experience. Did you start a loyalty program? Did you introduce personalized shopping experiences? Did you put a system in place to gather customer feedback? That kind of thing.
Show them that you're proactive about building those connections.
Right. And be ready to talk about the results. Did you see an increase in customer retention? Did people start shopping more frequently? Did you get more positive feedback? Those numbers really make your example stronger.
Okay, great advice. Now let's switch gears to a question that's all about organization and efficiency. How do you prioritize tasks and manage your time effectively? I imagine a supermarket manager has a lot on their plate.
Time management is key. Think of it like, conducting an orchestra. You've got a million things going on at once. The interviewer wants to know you can handle it. Stay organized, focused, and productive.
So what are some strategies that really impress them?
Talk about how you plan your day. Do you use to-do lists, calendars, project management tools? What techniques do you use to stay on track?
Oh, like time blocking.
Exactly. Or delegation. The Pomodoro technique, even. Show them that you can assess what's urgent, delegate effectively, and make those tough decisions about what needs attention first.
Love those time management tips. And I'm guessing those follow-up questions will be all about handling pressure, right?
Definitely. They might ask you to describe a time when you had a lot of deadlines and competing priorities. How did you handle it? What tools or techniques did you use to stay on track? They want to see if you can perform under pressure.
Makes sense. All right, let's wrap up with a question about teamwork and conflict resolution. How do you handle conflicts or disagreements among team members? Because Let's face it, conflict happens.
It's inevitable, right? Especially when you're managing people. And this question is really about your ability to create a positive and productive work environment. Can you handle those interpersonal challenges? Can you keep the team working together?
So what are the key things to emphasize in your answer?
Focus on your listening skills, your ability to understand different perspectives, to mediate fairly. Share examples of how you've resolved conflicts in the past. What strategies did you use? What were the outcomes? Did you encourage communication, help people find common ground, that sort of thing?
Okay, sounds like a recipe for a harmonious team. Now, what about those follow-up questions? They might get into some tricky interpersonal dynamics, right?
Oh, for sure. They might ask about your approach to dealing with difficult personalities, or how you handle conflicts between people with different communication styles. Be prepared to share specific examples that highlight your ability to adapt, be diplomatic, and find solutions that work for everyone.
Great advice. Wow, we really covered a lot of ground there. Feels like we just ran a marathon of interview questions. And of course, there's more to this journey than just acing the interview.
Yeah, it's like reaching the top of one mountain and then you see a whole range in front of you.
Exactly. But hey, we're going to equip you for the whole journey, not just the first climb.
That's right. So let's say you nailed that interview, got the job. Now what? How do you keep moving up in your supermarket management career?
In RoleCatcher's Career Guide, they actually map out some paths you can take, right?
They do. You could aim for a district manager position, overseeing a bunch of stores, making sure they're all hitting their targets.
Okay, so that's one step
Or
on.
you could even go for regional manager, responsible for a whole network of supermarkets. Pretty impressive, right?
Definitely ambitious. So what are the keys to success on this career path? What do you really need to focus on?
Continuous learning, that's the big one. This industry is always changing, so you got to stay ahead of the curve. Keep developing those leadership skills, customer service skills, inventory management, even those tech skills we talked about earlier.
Right, got to stay sharp.
Yeah.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI tools come in, right? They can help you tailor your resume and your interview answers for those higher level roles.
Exactly. Think of RoleCatcher like your personal career coach. It can analyze job descriptions and figure out those keywords and skills that'll make your application stand out.
So like having a secret decoder ring for the hiring process.
Pretty much. You can't just use a generic resume anymore. It needs to be tailored for each specific job, and RoleCatcher's AI helps you do that quickly and effectively. Gets your resume in front of the right people.
Makes sense. Now, what about prepping for those interviews? Can RoleCatcher help with that too?
Oh, absolutely. Remember all those questions we went through earlier? RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you come up with personalized answers based on the specific job you're going for.
So it's not just general advice, it's tailored to that particular role.
Exactly. It's like having a custom-made suit for your interview. And it gets even better. RoleCatcher can give you feedback on your answers, too. You can practice, record yourself, and then get insights on how to improve your delivery, your clarity, your overall impact.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Technology is really changing the game for job seekers. It's like having a whole team of experts in your pocket.
It really is. And RoleCatcher is a great example of that. It gives you the tools and insights you need to succeed.
Speaking of tools and success, I want to go back to something we touched on earlier, the importance of technology in the supermarket industry. It's evolving so fast.
It's incredible, right? Remember that part in RoleCatcher's Career Guide about all the tech that's transforming the supermarket experience?
Yeah, the self-checkouts, online ordering, mobile payments.
And don't forget those smart shelves that track inventory in real time. All that stuff is becoming standard.
So basically being tech-savvy isn't optional anymore.
Nope, it's a must-have for any supermarket manager. Imagine you're dealing with a ton of online orders during the holidays. You gotta know how to use those platforms, manage the inventory, make sure everything runs smoothly.
Sounds like you need to find a balance though, right? Between all the tech and that human touch that customers still appreciate.
Definitely. It's about finding that sweet spot. But even if you're not a tech whiz, don't worry. There are so many resources out there to help you learn. Online courses, tutorials. You can even just spend some time exploring the technology in your own local supermarket.
Good point. All right, before we move on to our final thoughts, I want to highlight one more thing from RoleCatcher's Career Guide.
Right.
They have a really insightful section on the essential skills and knowledge for supermarket managers.
It's a fantastic resource, and some of the skills they mention might surprise you. It goes beyond the obvious stuff like leadership and communication.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, they talk about active listening, reading comprehension, even coordination skills. You might not think of those as essential for a manager, but They're super important in a fast-paced environment like a supermarket.
I could see how active listening would be crucial, especially when you're managing a team with all sorts of different people. But reading comprehension, how much reading is involved in running a supermarket?
More than you'd think. Think about all the reports, memos, contracts, company policies. You got to be able to understand all that stuff, make informed decisions, communicate effectively.
That makes sense. Now, what about coordination skills? How do those come into play?
Think of a supermarket manager, like the conductor of an orchestra. You're making sure all the different parts of the supermarket are working together. Inventory, staffing, customer service, merchandising, everything's got to be in sync.
So it's not just about managing individual tasks, it's about coordinating a whole system.
Exactly. You got to see the big picture, anticipate problems, make sure everything runs smoothly.
We've covered so much today, from those tough interview questions to the evolving role of technology. But of course, there's always more to learn.
Always. That's what makes this career so exciting.
So what are some final words of wisdom we can leave our listeners with? What are the key takeaways to help them succeed in their supermarket management journey?
It's like, yeah, you've got to have those skills, those right answers. But what really gets you noticed is that spark, you know? What makes you excited about this job? What can you bring to the table that nobody else can?
So it's about finding that perfect match. Your skills, your experience, your personality, it all has to click with the company and the role.
Exactly. And when it does, that authenticity, that passion, it really comes through in the interview. They're not just looking for someone who can check off all the boxes. They want someone who's genuinely excited about this world.
Someone who wants to make a difference in supermarket management.
Yes. And don't forget about those soft skills we talked about. Being able to listen, empathize, communicate clearly, and staying calm when things get tough. Those are all crucial for a good supermarket manager.
It's about showing them you're not just a manager, you're a leader,
Yeah.
a problem solver, someone who can work well with a team.
Exactly. And even if you don't have years of experience in this specific field, you can still highlight skills from other jobs. Have you led a team before? Managed projects? Shown that you can handle tough situations?
It's about connecting the dots. Show them how your past experiences have prepared you for this.
Right. And don't be afraid to ask questions during the interview, too. It shows you're curious, engaged, that you really want to learn more about the company.
Turn that interview into a conversation, a chance to let your personality shine through.
And most importantly, believe in yourself. You got this.
I think our listeners are definitely ready to tackle those interviews now. Remember, preparation is key. Use those resources from RoleCatcher, practice those answers, and let your personality shine.
And don't forget about RoleCatcher's AI tools. They can give you that extra boost, help you fine-tune your resume, practice your answers, get personalized feedback. It's like having a whole team of career coaches right there with you.
So go out there and show them what you're made of. We're rooting for you. And remember, there's a whole world of possibilities in supermarket management. Dream big, work hard, and who knows, maybe one day you'll be running a whole network of supermarkets.
Until next time, good luck with those interviews.